Hi again, Frostfang.
Hey, Gaten, how are you?
Doing okay. I'm hoping for other people to. I'm hoping for T to show up. He, he kind of showed up a little early ahead of schedule in the comment section today, but I hope he shows up. You know,
Yeah.
I'll, I'll have to double check with him. Hang on, hang on, hang on. I had to. I had to send him a comment to let him know that we're ready.
Okay.
Anyway, I think we can. I think we can get started right now while we can. So let's get this. Let the, yeah, let me get this on the road. Okay, here we go. Here we are with Iron Man. First appear the armored Avenger. You all know from the Marvel comics. Yeah, Iron Man, aka Tony Stark. Yes, and let me get this up. Here he is. Huh. Here he is. This is Iron Man is born. He was created by Stan Lee in 1962 or 1963. He no, yeah. Hang on. Let me double check. Hang on. Tales of Suspense. Yeah, here we are. He was introduced in Tales of Suspense, number 39, on December of 1962. Publisher Marvel Comics, created by Stan Lee, Larry Lieber, Don Hack, and Jack Kirby. His full name is Anthony Edward Stark. Look who we got here. Hey there, Uncle T. Welcome.
Hey, what's going on?
Hi, we're glad you could join us.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
I believe in the original Tales of Suspense, he was captured by the Koreans, not the Ten Rings in the movie.
or the Chinese, or the. You sure? I think we ought to take a look.
It was I want to say it was Cold War, but it was either the Koreans or it was the Chinese, or it was one of the two.
Yeah, yeah, one of the two. Yeah, we all remember. Yeah, I'm gonna get. Anyway, it's great to have you here, Uncle T. And to anyone who's here, make sure you. I'm gonna make sure you subscribe to Uncle T's channel. And yeah,
What channel, man?
yeah, we can. Here we can give you some help, buddy. Let me get this up.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
So, Guillotine, did you play the first Iron Man video game?
No, but I played the second one. Yeah, the second Iron Man game was fun.
I remember the first one. It was they had a lot of the villains from
Yeah, various Iron Man comics.
Titanium Man, I think, was one.
Yeah, he was a Soviet.
I think they had one of the Whiplashes before they adapted Whiplash in the second movie.
Yeah, he was called Blacklash originally, before
Really?
they introduced another and called him or her Whiplash, just ahead of Iron Man 2.
Why did they do that? Why did they change the characters up as if like I know that they go to I know they go to like a test group and say, hey man, what do you guys feel about this? What test groups are they going to? They say, yeah, this is a good idea.
Huh.
Which
Yeah.
part about that? Them turning Backlash into Blacklash into Whiplash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I think they're referring to two different characters, but
Yeah. One of
is
them.
Isn't Whiplash the son of Crimson Dynamo?
Thought so.
Yeah. You mean Ivan Vanko from Iron Man 2? Yeah.
Or yeah, they mashed together Crimson Dynamo and Whiplash in
Yeah.
that movie. That's why at the
That's
very
true.
end his. That's why at the very end he has a Crimson Dynamo looking suit, but it's mixed with his Whiplash.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a waste of in the Iron Man movies? Wasn't that look? I told this to Da. I feel like they should have concentrated on the Mandarin and like really gone into that. But I realize they're not trying to be offensive, but I don't think it's offensive when people have respect for the characters and what they actually mean to you. I felt like that was a miss there because all three of those Iron Mans, I mean, except for the second and third act of Iron Man 1, the rest of them were just like they weren't good to me. That last one, Iron Man 3, come on, man. That was
Yeah. That
horrible.
was the worst of them all. Yeah. They completely wasted the opportunity to bring forth the Mandarin, all because they got too heavily embedded with China and they were too lazy and arrogant to bother, especially after Disney picked up the rights to the Marvel brand from Paramount back in late 2008 or late 2009.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, John Favreau, I think, who has directed 1 and 2, he said he was going to intentionally have
Hi,
Iron
Emily.
Man. He was going to have the Mandarin be the villain of 3. Sort of, he kind of compared him to the Emperor Palpatine,
Yeah.
but he had a headache on Iron Man 2 because in Iron Man 2 they really tried to push him to make an advertisement for Avengers. That's why you got the movie. You got Sam Jackson coming in for 5 minutes, and you get Coulson coming in saying, "I gotta go to Texas or New Mexico because something fell out of the sky." And then you got Black Widow introduced, and you
Right.
got War Machine introduced, which War Machine's cooler than Iron Man.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
That's very
I think
true.
you're Yeah, and I think you're right, Frostfang. The guys that captured Iron Man in his first appearance in the comics were the Viet Cong in Vietnam. Well, actually, it was Vietnam, from what I can see, from what I read here. It was during the Cold War era. You know, back when it was back when back when we were having a Cold War with the Soviet Union. Back
Mm.
then, it helped the comic industry spring out a layer of ideas to plan out for each and every character out in the books. And right here, is and right here, Iron Man is one of those characters who featured many characteristics. Well, who was who had enemies that were taken inspiration out of by what our by the countries that our government sent our troops to war with back during the Cold War. And and here it is, Tales of Suspense, number 39, which is the first appearance of Iron Man, Tony Stark.
Why don't they do it? Why look at that? Look at that title, Tales of Suspense. Why don't you do movies like that or do shows like that that has like? Of course, I'm suspending my disbelief, but it's the fact that I'm hearing a story, right? Like this is
Yes.
like that's interesting. It's intriguing. I want to learn more about it, man. Is it far fetched? Yeah, because I think that the thing that they don't realize is when they're telling material is that you're not going to start a war with this generation. Like nobody wants to do war. Like nobody wants conflict. They just want peace, right? And they want to know, okay, if we got a problem, man, we'll solve it playing Yu-Gi-Oh or Uno cards or anything besides war. But we could fantasize about it, man. But I don't know why Hollywood doesn't take the risk they need to. They screwed up with. Remember when they did that with the GI Joe with Cobra Commander? You're like, who is this guy?
Yeah, that's on my agenda for next week's stream.
Mm,
As I'm looking to get Rogue Sergeant Knee Pain and another guest on the panel to join us for that
right.
today tonight. And now here Iron Man Tony Stark in a closely guarded lab shows off a new invention of military to military defense officials. He developed microtransistors capable of powering up things such as magnets, turning them into powerful weapons strong enough to pull open a thick metal door from a distance. They increase magnetic force a thousandfold. Stark impresses the military press with his new inventions, while at the same time impressing the ladies of the international jet set with his dashing good looks and incredible personal wealth. Across the globe, the evil red tyrant Wang Shu takes over another small village in Vietnam, defeating its strongest men in contests of judo. Meanwhile, Tony Stark has arrived in Vietnam to observe testing microtransistors. Hang on, let me keep it. Power weaponry, which allowed heavy to take allowed heavy items like mortars to be reduced to size no larger or heavier than a flashlight. Accompanying a squad of soldiers equipped with his weaponry on a patrol through the jungle, he accidentally triggers a tripwire that detonates a landmine. The wounded Tony Stark is captured by Wang Chu's forces and taken to their nearby headquarters. Wang Chu realizes his prisoner is a famous Yankee inventor and decides that he will put him to work in service of the communist insurgency, even though doctors determine the young inventor only has days to live before shrapnels reach his heart. Wang Chu falsely promises that he will have a surgeon save Tony's life if he will agree to develop the new high-tech weapons for him. Even though he saw through Wang Chu's words to his true intentions to make him work until his death, Stark agrees in order to try and save his own life with the technical abilities and Wang Chu's resources. Given access to scrap metal and tools, Stark promises he will deliver a fantastic weapon, but sets out in a building in building a mechanism that will help stop the shrapnel from penetrating his heart. He is given an assistant named Professor Yun Sen, a famous physicist whom Stark had read about while in college. Working together, the two finalize work on Stark's project, an iron bodysuit which with a crest plate that will keep the shrapnel at bay through use of transistor-powered magnets. Just as Stark donned the life-saving suit and begun to power it with electrical current and a generator, Wang Tu attempts to come check on his prisoner. Yinsen rushes out to the hallway, shouting at Chu, and is shot dead by armed guards, buying the precious seconds Stark needs to fully charge the armor. Tony Stark, as Iron Man, hears the murder of his friend and swears he will avenge his death. He tries to rise and steady himself as the armor in the Iron Man armor, but discovers it is like learning to walk again. He quickly gets the hang of operating the armor and evades detection from Wang Chu by leaping to the ceiling and holding himself there using suction cups.
Now that would have been ridiculous seeing on live action.
Yeah, I hear ya. Yeah, good thing you never saw that in the first Iron Man movie.
But other than that, this sound. I mean, obviously with changes, this is pretty accurate to the movie.
Yeah, the scene of the scene of Yinsen sacrificing himself to buy Tony Stark enough time. I've seen that scene.
Now,
But they change it though? Did they? Because sometimes you remember how the Pirates of the Caribbean will be one way, man. But now I don't remember what the original Pirates of the Caribbean is now. I don't remember what it is.
I still remember it.
I mean, they changed it from the Vietnam to, well, basically the Taliban. Well, basically the Taliban, but they called them the 10 Rings because you don't want to get in trouble there. But
you just reminded me of that 10 Rings. Oh my god!
And then he said that I don't know about the magnet thing. He said that he had a bigger one at Stark Industries.
Yeah, arc reactor.
Yeah, they changed it to arc reactor technology, and it. Well, they said. But that was less magnets and more a type of fusion energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Yeah, but something else. Okay. The
Um,
all right.
it,
Here we. Let's see.
Jensen was. He just said he met him at some type of
Yeah,
event.
charity
Mm.
event in Switzerland in the movie. But
Yeah,
here,
he
but in
was
the comics, Tony Tony learned of him from college.
right.
You remember when he was? Remember when at one point he was the biggest? Like to me, Tony Stark was the biggest villain in all of Marvel because he was, everything he was doing was he was starting fires, and then backing off, saying, "Oh, who did that? Well, I'll fix it." Like he was a cure. He was the pain and the cure, and it was like, I mean, they just totally went away with him, man, and made him be obviously, iconic, but they just I think if they stick to the stories, man, they got so much material in the comics alone. I don't know why the writers don't want to adapt that, man. Just to say, hey, you know what, man, give the folks what they want, man. How could anybody know all the stories?
I believe they were trying, like John Favreau for Iron Man 2, he wanted to adapt Demon in a Bottle, which is a story arc of Iron Man dealing with his alcohol addiction. But I think it was a combination of, Marvel came in and said, yeah, we really do want to just push and advertise everything for Avengers. And then I think they probably got cold feet because Disney bought Marvel and they were like, oh, we don't want to show that in a kid's movie. My son is not going to watch someone drinking himself to death.
Anyway, after Wong Chu leaves the room, the tyrant heads outside to amuse himself with his favorite sport, challenging the villagers to a duel of judo. Iron Man descends from the ceiling and finds a coat and hat with which to cover his armor and wanders outside to find Wong Chu tossing people around the judo arena. Iron Man challenges Wong Chu, then takes off his coat and hat to reveal the shocking visage of Iron Man. The metal monster walks up to Wong Chu, picks him up, and twirls him around before tossing him into the brush. Wong Chu demands his guards to open fire on Iron Man, but bullets just bounced off the armored figure's metal chestplate. Iron Man then uses reverse magnetism to repel enemy weapons. Wong Chu tries to get to the speaker of the nearest building in order to put a bounty on Iron Man, but Stark manages to create an electrical interference and switch the radio channel, telling Wong Chu's troops through speaker to flee their leader before the Iron Man slays them all. Iron Man cuts down the building's door using a transistor-powered buzzsaw. But soon as he enters the communist menace fells him with a file cabinet load of rocks. Wang Chu escapes in order to order the execution of all prisoners, but Iron Man, low on energy and too weak to continue pursuit, uses his armor's lubricant system to launch a stream of oil towards the ammunition depot near the fleeing Wang Chu. He then sets the oil fire that sets fire to the oil stream using a miniature torch in one of the armor gauntlets, causing the ammo dump to explode and seemingly killing Wang Chu. His batteries now recharged. Iron Man dons a coat and hat and walks away into the jungle. Yeah, that was the first Iron Man issue right there for you, too.
It sounds pretty similar to the movie. I mean, he does ignite the ammo cache in the movie, but
Yes,
he
he does.
but he also had the built-in flamethrowers in the movie.
Yes, he did.
I mean, it does make me wonder a lot, like with Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3, what they would have done. But unfortunately, John Favreau was frustrated with the process, so he left, and so they handed over the reins to Shane Black, and apparently Shane Black had some ideas that Marvel at the time refused. Like apparently, the chicken Iron Man 3 was supposed to be the villain, and then they switched it to
Oh,
whatever
Rich
his.
Killian. Yes, I
Oh
saw
my
the
god,
movie.
the
And
movie
really,
was.
it was really the first thing that the studios did. Well, it was the big one that pissed me off the most, guys. I mean, For them to go and rip us off on one of the best villains in the comics just to get things out of the way and focus more on the Avengers, you'd wonder why some folks like Parker don't want a shared universe to begin with.
Right, right, right. Because they blew it. They blew it there. That for that build up, for number one, number two, and to get that build up for number three, it was like whoa. And I think that's the thing that Marvel pisses me off about Disney Marvel is they'll do something completely dumb and then make it up with a wonderful movie like Civil War.
100%.
Why did you put me through that hell? Why did you put me through the hell of the Eternals? Why did you put me through Shang-Chi? Why did you put me through all this stuff to tell me, oh, hey, guess what, guys? We're gonna make up for the doctor does. Come, like that's their formula. They're never gonna go away. Never.
Yeah.
Well, because they hire people who think they can do it better than the comics.
Yeah.
And have you seen the videos? Like, I think there's a montage of like people that they talk to, writers, and they're all like, oh, I never read the comics and I never read it when I was doing this. And that's why, like, a lot of the Marvel adaptations now are just kind of like so different from the comics.
Well, this is what I'm always saying. If you go look at the writers listed, for most Hollywood productions, like some of your favorite shows, you'll see that they're from Ivy League schools or prestigious schools. And they've got this one plot, one agenda thing, right? Remember how it was? I talked about this the other night on stream. Remember Revenge of the Fallen? Then everybody has this, and Rise of this, and like nobody can think of anything better. It's almost as though they're going down. We never got that in the 80s, 70s. 70s had some of the best movies too, by the way.
Not even the 90s.
No, not even the 90s. Where they do this repeat thing, like it's a big cash grab. And they used to not get away with that, right? I remember when Gremlins 2 dropped. When Gremlins 2 dropped, everybody's like, "What? What are you talking about? What? How come nobody knew about that?" Like, wow. But there's no surprise in any of the things they give us. For one, they overmarket things, and then they undermarket things that are supposed to be marketable. They just don't work.
No, it doesn't.
I don't understand that. The writers have a bunch of influence, man. It's horrible.
Yeah, I just don't know why. I don't know why we're getting an Armor Wars. Well, I think they're going to cancel that, but Armor Wars is.
Yeah, it pretty much looks that way.
Like, I don't know why we need an Armor Wars when Iron Man is no longer there. I mean, I know they say, well, War Machine's there, but I'm like, it's not really the same without Iron Man.
No, it isn't. It's not the same without Tony Stark. In fact, Iron Man 3 and Endgame pretty much killed the IP's live action, status. The IP died with both Iron Man 3 by not doing the Mandarin as shown in the comics, and with Endgame killing off Tony Stark. Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I mean, Iron Man 3, I think they just, I don't know. It was one of those movies that started the, I mean, I don't know why. I don't want to say started, but it started.
It's the start of them turning their backs on us and destroying everything we cherished and look forward to seeing in live action.
Like it's like them starting to subvert expectations, and they think they're being funny about it. Like they think like, oh, isn't it so funny and so random that the Mandarin is actually just an actor, and the real bad guy is this dude that we don't care about.
Yeah.
Who's not interesting.
Yeah, they tried to rip us off with Aldrich Killian as the Mandarin, but thank God that didn't turn out. Well, thank God that got, course corrected, even though we had to wait 8 years after Iron Man 3 and 2 years after Tony's death to see the actual Mandarin come to life in live action, not being done 100% comic accurately, but at least more in touch, more in tune with the character when it comes to rings. But even though they didn't do the rings right, what really disappointed me the most is that they never even got Iron Man and Mandarin to fight in the live action movies.
Well, I mean, it's like what the Mandarin we ended up getting is just a amalgamation of Shang-Chi's father from the comics, who they couldn't do because it's a deemed racist stereotype, with
the
with
Mandarin from the
Mandarin.
comics.
Yeah, and Mandarin is really not the same Mandarin in the movie. I mean, he's got the rings, yeah, but they're more like arm bracelets.
Yeah, bracelet
And
rings.
they don't have like each ring is supposed to have its own function, but they just made it to be that all 10 are just the same.
Right. Then they blow with that. And then that's the thing about Shang-Chi. That was not an interesting story. That was not maybe act one was kind of cool, right? The build up, and then they fall off, man. It just you brought in the dragon. They did everything they could. I said the other day, it was like it's like Mulan. They tried to be like Mulan
Oh
and
yeah,
chained together. Like, because they didn't put that dragon in Mulan. Like, this is
We gotta have a dragon. It's Asia.
right, right. Just throw it on the wall. Just throw it up against the wall. Okay, here, like you say you have one. You say you have respect for one culture, but you don't. You already don't show respect, man. And nobody's looking for you to fix the wrongs of everybody. No, are you looking as a? Are you looking for them to fix anything in the movies? Oh, fix this in society? No. I just want to see a good movie. I just want to see a good movie, a good plot, something that makes sense,
yeah,
something
me
that's
too.
tangible.
Yeah, me too.
Shang-Chi, I mean, Shang-Chi basically, even them trying to pander to China, they said, this guy's kind of a wuss, looks like a wuss.
Yeah,
Like, they basically said that. And then, basically,
yeah.
they also didn't like see me lose comments about what his parents said about China, so.
Oh yeah. Anyway, before we get to the Mandarin, I like to take a look at some of the schematics that to Iron Man's suit from the cinematic films. I mean, you got the suit itself, the arc reactor, some of the padding around the legs, and the wiring and stuff. I mean, look at all the schematics. How cool would it be if we actually got one of those in the real world, guys?
It would be cool, but I don't think they can miniaturize something that small. It's kind of, I mean, I'm trying to think of what my favorite armor from the movies is. I want to say the one from Iron Man 2 was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. It was super
with
cool.
the V, like the V looking.
Oh yeah, the chest piece. Yeah, he invented that thing to save his life from dying from the lithium that was killing him from the inside. Yeah, that was a
So I
cool.
gotta ask you guys: did you prefer Terrence Howard or Don Cheadle?
Well, that's well, I'd prefer the one who got the armored suit to begin with.
I mean, I heard Terrence Howard was being difficult because he wanted as much money as Robert Downey Jr., even though he's not the main character of the movie. But
Oh yeah,
and so that's when they went with Don Cheadle, and I mean, they have an inside joke in the second movie about him not
Well,
being.
well, remember what happened with them? Paramount had the first Iron Man, then they sold it to Disney, and then there was no Marvel Pictures, right? And then they got a bigger budget, I mean, they formed themselves, and he's saying, "Wait a minute, pay me on this thing." And I like him as I thought he was a better War Machine. He was more towards the comic book. I liked him as a better fit. I don't feel like Don Cheadle is masculine enough, and Don Cheadle is masculine, but I don't think that's the best role for him. Right?
no,
I just don't feel like it is.
no. But speaking of Don Cheadle, he ended up being the lucky one that got to play War Machine, while Woody Harrelson, one of his co-stars from After the Sunset, who shot him dead, got cast as Carnage for the second Venom movie while cameoing at the end of the first. Yeah, it's quite ironic too. And speaking of War Machine, that's exactly where we're going next on tonight's video, guys. So let me get the screen shared up.
I still have the strong opinion that the first version of War Machine we got was cool, like with the Gatling gun, with the machine gun on it. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I don't care. I don't care about that the more futuristic stuff that they went with in later movies. Like,
Yeah.
and I had like a machine gun on his arm and like a freaking like rockets and whatever. I'm like, that's a badass suit.
Right. And that's all you want. Look, those first, if they would do more badass scenes, man, like You know, you watch BVS, right? BVS, but you think about BVS, you think about the badass scenes when you see the Trinity, when you see Batman in that warehouse fucking kicking ass. You're like, wow,
Yeah.
I wanted to see this, man. This is what I came here to see, man. Not these feelings movie. I wanted to see Shazam versus Black Adam. Give me what I know to be true, not this fake stuff.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's why I felt like Shang-Chi was the most boring kung fu movie
Oh
I've
yeah.
ever seen.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like so much, so much of the movie, I felt like it was Katie the movie, which Aquafina's
Oh,
character. And then they introduce his sister, and then she basically kicks his ass. And then I'm like, whose movie is this?
Yeah, I hear ya.
Right.
Loud
They're
and
trying to
clear.
build up for an audience that's not the audience is not there. That is not the audience that is at the comic conventions trying to like there are guys there. They're saying, hey man, where's a space where you know what, man, I get to just go and I get to share this with my son or my daughter. And like this is not it. And the
No.
girls that like this stuff, they only like it for cosplay. They're not liking it to say, okay, they're liking it for the costumes because they get to feel sexy. They want to be like the girl they saw in the comic book.
We're not getting the people that they see in comic books. I mean, people like Miss Marvel, the original Miss Marvel. They don't like Captain Marvel. Like yeah, and people might say like, well, she wears a bikini in the original. I'm like, and?
Really?
Yeah, exactly.
I never. Yeah, I never thought of that.
Well, I mean, people would just say like, well, the new Captain Marvel's better because she's a strong, woman. I'm like,
She ain't sexy.
well, I mean, but I'm like, people liked Black Widow because she was sexy, and then all of a sudden we have to have this introspection of, well, technically Black Widow was just there for eye candy. I'm like, okay, what about Thor? Was the scene with him shirtless also there for eye?
Oh, that too.
I'm just like, you guys are like putting these blinders on where it's just like, oh my god, she appeared in a skin tight outfit. I'm like, every male Marvel movie now, you have to see a man get his shirt taken off, and I'm like, none of the guys were complaining about it.
Right.
It's just and I'm like, and then they were trying to like make Scarlet with the Black Widow movie, like her. Like they were trying, like all the people interviewing her were trying to make her diss the character, and I'm like, why? Because she's attractive, and you guys probably will never be attractive.
Yeah, but they didn't show her being attractive, did they? In that spinoff of Black Widow.
Well, no, I mean like the movie, like, I mean, there's a lot of issues with that movie, but like the problem is that they just really tried to make it about like. Just something that Black Widow isn't. It's like basically making like they changed Taskmaster because like, well, we got to have a twist in the movie. Like it's all these stupid twists that they have.
Yeah, really stupid twist.
So right, just so
yeah, but also speaking of Black Widow, she did. You remember that scene when she infiltrated Hammer Industries in search of Ivan Vanko after she interrogated Justin Hammer with force?
Yeah.
Yeah, she freed Rhodey from Whiplash's control, leaving him and Iron Man to duke it out with all the Hammer drones in the garden. Where they really kicked armor ass. I mean,
yeah, those drones in that. I gotta give it to Jon Favreau. He has an eye for like cool looking stuff.
Yeah,
and those drones in the movies were cool. Like, it's like I kind of miss in the first two Iron Man 2 movies. You got the feeling of like how those machines worked, and then after that, they just went to the route of like nanotechnology. I'm like,
yeah,
that's not as cool.
Yeah, super cop out. Just a normal cop out. They took the cool away from it. Even
like,
when
remember the scene where he has the suitcase and he kicks it out and you just see it folding. Like that was cool. Like,
yeah, the suitcase was cool. Yeah, but
that's got to be. I think that's got to be my favorite one because it's just like they spent the time and said, okay, here's the suit. Now we got to make it look like realistic of him just folding over him as like this ready to go suit. Like that was the coolest one.
Yeah.
But then after that, we just got more and more nanotech like suits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course,
Since Iron Man 3.
of course.
And speaking of Iron Man 2, we know we know which villain Ivan Van Cole was, right, guys?
Was he? Well, he was Whiplash, I think, and then his father was Crimson Dynamo.
Yeah, he was Whiplash. Even though he wasn't the Crimson Dynamo like the comics, at least it gives us a taste of what he can do in live action. I mean, I got it. Even though I understand that, I do know that there were multiple versions of Crimson Dynamo, and I understand that this isn't like the comic. But what I do like about it is that he's kind of more exciting with those whips and stuff. Yeah, I mean, this wasn't just the studio's idea; it was Mickey Rourke pick to go with Whiplash when he was given two options of what villain to play. Yeah, I kind of actually, and to be honest, and I hope you guys forgive me for saying this, but I actually like Mickey Rourke for doing Whiplash in this movie because I've seen cartoons of Whiplash and Blacklash using these electro whips, and it makes me wonder what it would look like if either one of them would take on Iron Man with those gadgets in the films, live action films. And of course, we know that he wasn't. And of course, we know that Mickey Rourke's character was not portrayed exactly like this in the movies. He had
Right.
he had two different versions. The first one, as we know, is where he was, where he infiltrated one of the racing circuits in Santa Monica or something, or
Fun
Monte
fact.
Carlo.
Fun fact: Elon Musk has a cameo in Iron Man 2.
Yeah,
he
he does.
Yeah, he does. This is what Mickey Rourke's character Whiplash originally started out as in the movie when he first took on Iron Man on the racetracks.
I still remember that trailer when you see him for the first time. He's just slashing the whips up and down. Like,
yeah. Hang on, I'm gonna see if I can get another guy to come in. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can bring our friend.
I don't think that I don't think that. I think that they try to go for this practical approach because remember Mickey Rourke was coming off of The Wrestler, right? And
yeah.
Which is
he
a great
actually
role.
he actually visited a Russian prison to prep for this role.
Wow.
And it's a little bit sad because they kind of underutilized him in the movie.
Yeah, they did.
Like he just shows up at the end and he's just like, I'm here, and then I'm dead. Like,
yeah.
And once again, it has mostly to do with the fact that like the movie takes a backseat in order for Sam Jackson to be in the movie and Coulson to return. It's like the movie didn't need to have Sam Jackson in it. It just was there.
Yeah. I think
he was just there to give exposition.
Hammer was I think you should have went more into just the Hammer and that espionage. How Tony Stark could have rivals. I thought that was more interesting. That hey, I've got a rival and I'm so desperate to beat you. At this, that I am going to do this. That
U.S. military time till getting to building an Iron Man suit, 5 years. Hammer Tech, 10 years.
Right, right. It was great. You had Gary Shandling in there being a great. I mean, he was a great foe. It was.
Hello,
it was
Katar.
Pretty good.
Hey,
welcome aboard, Uncle T. Say
Hey,
hi to Katar.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Hi. Glad you could join us.
Yeah, it's I just woke up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're on the other side from where I am.
I'm from the other side of the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't worry, the world is flat, so it's cool.
Yeah. I'm glad you could join us, Qatar, because we could definitely use some more guests to discuss much of what we're talking about tonight. I mean, right now we've come to the part where we discuss the supervillain known as Whiplash and how he's kind of a separate version to the Iron Man villain called Blacklash. Yeah, I've learned about this character since watching previews of the Iron Man cartoon over on one of the channels on TV back when it was direct TV and stuff.
Mm.
They based uh, Blacklash or
Yeah,
uh,
it was originally Black Clash most of the
yeah,
time.
on
Yeah,
I Crimson Dynamo actually. The
yes,
Yeah,
character.
it's a mixture of. Well, his father was the original Crimson Dynamo in the movie, or
Yes.
name wise. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, like I think we can all agree, Iron Man 2 had a lot of good stuff going on in it, but the problem was that it just had way too many different ideas going on. Like first, they were trying to adapt Demon in a Bottle with Iron Man's alcohol issues. They kind of shoehorned that in, and then they wanted to do like you know add more stuff hinting at the Avengers. It just kind of was one of those movies where it's just like I really do wish that we got John Favreau's Iron Man 3 because he did
yeah,
want to utilize the Mandarin.
yeah, the right way before Disney got too much influence over the studio and caused him to walk away.
Yeah, and then of course he got a second chance with Disney with the Mandalorian, and well, he got angry and walked away with that as well.
Yeah, and speaking of Crimson Dynamo, there are multiple different versions of the character from the comics. Yeah, we know that Anton Vanko was the original Dynamo, but
Yeah.
one of the other Dynamos that I'm more familiar with is someone called Valentin Shantov. You know this one, Shadalov. You know this one, Crimson Dynamo. Yeah, you guys looking at this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, Crimson Dynamo. Yeah, multiple versions of the character from the comics. Yeah, he was Russian. Heck, I'm pretty sure that every version of him is from you know where.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
Yep,
not from Ukraine.
certainly
Not from
not.
Ukraine.
And not from Belarus or Kazakhstan either.
Now, is Titanium Man also a Russian villain?
Yes, that's yes, but yeah, he is. Yeah, Crimson Dynamo. Yes. Oh, but before we move to Titanium Man, the Valentine, as you know, Valentin Shantov was the Crimson Dynamo that you fight against in one of the Iron Man 2 games. You know, he had his own military base where he had captured Black Widow and where Iron Man and War Machine go to save her from the guy, but had to fight him in that red suit of armor first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was what the suit looked like in the game. Crimson Dynamo Shadalov. You see this, Uncle T?
You might have walked away for a second.
Oh,
Uh, I remember this. Wait a minute. This is in a cartoon. And he was just like this too.
yeah, the 90s cartoon. Yeah, let me look that up.
Oops. Man.
I played the first Iron Man game, and that one had Titanium Man. I think it had a version of Crimson Dynamo maybe as well, but I'm not
Wow.
sure.
Wow.
Yeah, Crimson Dynamo. I mean, here he is. Here's the original one. Look, Anton
It's-
Vanko.
Yeah. It's just too much for them to adapt and make it be believable. And I think too, the CGI budget is only, it's only set for practical. It's not set for impractical. I mean, I didn't like Josh Brolin as Thanos, and nobody even talks about how they changed Thanos up. He looks three different ways, three different times. Like nobody
Yeah.
talks
Three,
about that.
three
Like that
different
just
colors.
right. That just got thrown under the bus here, and like they,
Thrown under. Yep.
Wait a minute,
thrown under-
Wait a minute, three different colors.
three different
Yeah.
colors, three different
Yeah.
three different looks. I mean, like it just
I mean, yeah, I gotta say, I was not happy with them introducing time travel into the second one because they fight a different Thanos. I'm like, this is not the same Thanos. Like,
Right.
it's just the guy is just like, oh well, I guess I was proven wrong, so I'm just gonna screw up everything and just build a new universe.
Yeah.
I'm
They
like,
just and we only get the Kree in what 2 movies really? Like it's almost like when you watch
don't you
the
mean
Marvels and they don't show the Kree. Like I'm like, you're like, wait a minute, I want to see the Kree. I want to see them do what they need to do. I want to see them fight. Like they just ruined that whole timeline, man, of things, man. Especially with Spider-Man, man. Spider-Man, what did we watch those Spider-Mans for? To reset, to say, okay, scratch it. Remember what I was saying earlier? Oh, okay, now we're gonna get it right, huh? I'm tired of these reluctant heroes, man. I want to see somebody who wants to do the right thing, man. They get it hard on for it. They don't want to do that.
I don't know if I want to save the world.
Yeah. I got these superpowers. I don't want to use them.
This seems too tough.
Oh my goodness! Yeah,
normal kid. I got bit by a spider. I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know, Mr. Stark. I
just want to be a creeper on MJ or I don't know what.
Yeah.
Want to be a stalker for Gwen Stacy.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of Russians, the other armored Russian supervillain in the Iron Man comics, as you'll all know, Titanium Man. Yep.
Does he have? I'm trying not to get confused with Radioactive Man, but not the one from the comics, not from the Simpsons. The Titanium Man, I think, has some type of radiation type powers, doesn't he? Or am I thinking of Radioactive Man?
I think you're talking Radioactive Man.
Radioactive Man.
Okay. God, now I can't. It's hard. It's so hard for me to distinguish between Radioactive Man, between Simpsons, and like the one from Iron Man. Because when I say, I'm like, wait, which one am I talking about?
Yeah, Titanium Man. His real name is Boris Bolisky. Yeah, Boris Bolisky. I think he's Russian, or he could be. I think
Eastern European. It sounds
Russian.
regardless.
Yes. Yeah, he's Russian.
I'm trying to think of other villains that they didn't end up doing. They didn't use Whitney Frost.
Yes, they didn't use Madame Mask.
They did and they didn't in Agent Carter. They did a weird version of her in Agent Carter.
Okay.
Yep, a weird version of her. Yep, they sure did.
But Madame Mask is sort of like, I would have liked to see that character. That's another Iron Man character who kind of is the Bond girl type villain character.
Yeah.
I think they didn't want to spend on the TV. They had a really golden opportunity in the
Frost.
TV series. The TV series they had, they obviously, when they knew they were cooked. They knew they were cooked when they did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but they really knew they were cooked when they did Inhumans, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
then
that show was terrible.
Right. And then they took
I
time off.
still haven't finished watching the Inhumans.
Oh no, it's horrible, man. It's horrible.
Well, do you know the whole story behind that? Is that Marvel corporate Marvel wanted to get rid of, or kind of like diminish the amount the X-Men were involved in the Marvel comics, and they wanted to prop up the Inhumans so that they could make the Inhumans. They wanted to make the Inhumans basically
the X-Men.
Basically the X-Men, and that's why originally the Inhumans was going to be a movie, but then Feige was not happy with the whole relationship between him and corporate, so Disney kind of severed the two, and that's why Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of goes into the direction of Inhumans, and then they kind of They kind of got rid of it, and that's why Miss Marvel is now no longer Inhuman. She's now apparently a mutant because
She
They
is a
can't make up
horrible
their
character,
mind.
man. She's such a horrible character. The way they've
Yeah.
written her, she's such. And that show, that show was. I did not like that show. That show was kind of cool, but I just felt like they were like just slow. Like they was just slow. They were slow playing her along because she's trying to find
she
obviously
doesn't
her
even have the
origin.
same powers from the
Right.
comics. They just were like, replace.
Yeah, they didn't even give.
But she's
Yeah.
such a cool. She's cool in a way that she obviously needs supporting cast too. But I thought that the family thing was very very cool. It wasn't the best show, but they made the best. Those actors made that show the best it could be. The storylines weren't. They didn't push the envelope like they could have. You know,
No, they
like the
didn't.
boy that comes out of nowhere, like with the pop, like, and then he's just gone. You know, like they didn't stay consistent with, okay, here's what we're trying to do here. This is what we're trying to build up to. Like to this day, I don't know what that show is about, other than her getting her powers.
Nope. Neither do I.
Well, because they had to completely change her backstory because they haven't introduced Inhumans in the MCU officially. So they were like, well, everyone wants the X-Men, so let's just retroactively make her an X-Men.
Yeah.
And it's like it's why I mean, I don't fault the actors who take the roles. Like, I don't fault Haley Steinfeld for taking Kate Bishop. I don't fault the person who played Ironheart for taking the role, and I don't. But they're being fed the lie that these characters, like Miss Marvel, Kate Bishop, and Ironheart, are popular when they're not. They're just ripoffs.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're ripoffs.
yeah, that's true. That's very true. They are
Definitely.
consistent ripoffs.
Like, they're just not their own character. I mean, when we think about it, like, there's a plenty of characters out there that started off as like one-off characters and they grew. I mean, Robin became Nightwing, and we got War Machine is his own character. I mean, he is sort of like Iron Man, but he is his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's just now they're just trying to, like, no one's going to be interested in seeing an Iron Man movie with Ironheart as the main character. Like,
Yeah.
Right. It's
No
like
one
Black
really.
Panther 2. Black Panther 2 sucked. And you had Namor in it. Namor was in that
Yeah.
movie. And
Namor. Namor was the draw.
no. It's Namor.
Namor.
What the
It
hell?
just
Namor.
Namor.
They
it's
had
no
to
more.
like the producers had to like come in and say no, it's pronounced Namor because you gotta be culturally sensitive with Namor. Like I'm like no more of this.
DEI strikes again.
Right.
Yeah.
DEI killing everything, man. And you know what and I tell Derek this all the time, man. It's convenient. When it's convenient, it's allowable. When it's not profitable, it goes away. And you're seeing it disappear. Misappear. It's gonna misappear out of culture because it doesn't count. It's a nothing burger. Nothing.
Like, are we gonna see Namor again? No, we're not. Like
You're
they're
gonna see Namor.
like
Not Namor.
Namor.
Namor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, they kind of ruined that character because they didn't really make him like his I know it's part of the comics, but they really missed like the first scene in that movie where you see the whatever they're called, not Atlanteans anymore.
The Lokians.
Talokans, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that scene with him like in the like the air, like with the thunderstorm behind him, like you just see his reflection. Like that was cool. And then when we see him again in the movie, I'm like, this is not so cool.
Uh-huh.
Right. Because you know what?
Well,
That's why I've been a big proponent of them doing with the time travel and messing with the multi-universe. Because at least they can try and fix what they screwed up. Right. That's the only reason I like it, man. Like, come on, fix it. Like, I love Loki season 1, but season 2, it's like, are these the same writers? What is this? This is trash. There were a bunch of shiny lights in season 1 of Loki, man. bunch of things, man. Bunch of shiny lights. That's about the last project where I've seen they had shiny lights. Besides, wait a minute, Multiverse of Madness, and you did that for a Doctor Strange. That first Doctor Strange was not good to me. That was trash. He's not a great character in the MCU.
No,
He's a supporting cast character, but he's not the main draw. Like, come on, man. I don't know why they won't just focus on the characters that galvanize
The
people
cartoon
around you.
movie, the cartoon movie is much better for
Much
Doctor
better, of
Strange.
course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, because they changed Baron Mordo. Like Baron Mordo is supposed to be a dick in the comics, but they changed him. Like
Yeah.
it's like they were trying to make him Brother Voodoo, but they were like, let's not call him Brother Voodoo. Let's just call him Baron Mordo. Because Brother Voodoo is supposed to be an ally of Doctor Strange, and at one time was the Sorcerer Supreme.
Right.
I'm like, just do Brother Voodoo, and it's just like, no, we're just gonna do this bland version of Baron Mordo. And at the end, we're gonna say, oh, well, there's too many sorcerers in the world, but we're not gonna address that again in Doctor Strange 2. We're just gonna focus on a different version of Baron Mordo.
Yeah, and speaking of sorcerers, that comes to our next topic here on tonight's panel. And here we are, guys. The Mandarin, Iron Man's greatest arch foe, if not one of the best supervillains from Marvel Comics. And tell me, what makes him one of the most interesting and most favorable villains from the comics?
He has the 10 rings.
Yep. 10
Yes.
magic rings.
Which they transformed into bracelets.
In the movies.
Yeah. And
they made him into a Shang-Chi villain.
Yeah. And then we got Ben Kingsley as freaking
Mandarin.
Yeah, an actor. I mean,
as an actor.
Yeah. I mean, Kingsley, speaking of which, I mean, look at this image right here of the Mandarin right here. I mean, if they had just stick to the comics and did him exactly like the comics and not go ripping us off like they did, I'm sure Kingsley would have been the perfect interpretation of a live action version of the character. I mean, look right here. You see his face up here?
That's awesome Mandarin illustration. But
Sure
they wouldn't dare make a so-called Chinese guy the villain.
Yeah,
they simply did not.
Well, they did for Shang-Chi because the main character was Asian. But the thing is that, like, it's just like, the thing that bugged me so much about Shang-Chi was just the two things that tried to draw people in is, hey, we finally are going to do the Mandarin again. And then the other one was, hey, we finally got a more comic accurate Abomination, even though they completely ruined him in She-Hulk.
Yeah, they totally ruined him in She-Hulk. I saw the show and he kind of...
They made him into a Jordan Peterson like thing. Like him going to that like place like with all those men, and he's just like, oh yeah, we got the speaker tonight, and he's just there, and I'm like, what is this? Like, and basically like don't get me started on them like making fun of Doomcock, even though I don't watch him anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
and then they had all those men there just echoing things that some people online have said. It's just like, well, it's like, like, I don't think she's just a ripoff of like Hulk, but I would say the same thing if it was the guy who did it. And I just was like, what?
Yeah, I hear you. Anyway, the Mandarin had various different looks in the comics, as well as the games, the movies, the shows, and lots of stuff, different interpretations of him.
I still remember fighting him in Marvel Ultimate Alliance and his palace.
Yeah.
He was, I think, one of the tougher villains in the game.
Yeah, rightfully so too. He's also said to be a master martial artist and a intelligent scientist from the comics. Did you see
the 2010 Iron Man show and what he looked like in that? Like
You mean
he
Armored Adventures?
yeah. Did you see his suit? Like if they did a version of that, that would have been cool. Like
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. This one, is this what you were talking about?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Well, it's one of them, but yes, it would have been cool. Yeah, especially, and it would have also been cool if they had Keanu Reeves doing him in the live action
Oh
Iron
man,
Man
you're
movie.
right. That's a great casting, man. That would have been a great casting.
Yeah, definitely a great casting, Uncle T. In
Can't
fact,
believe that.
it's yeah, but even so, here's what he looked like recently in the comics. Where he looked more like he was in touch and more in the more civilized part of society in, in, in the comics, and not like how he originally was portrayed as. I mean, I've seen a lot of how I've seen so many different changes going on with the Mandarin, even before Iron Man 3. And if any of you guys saw that in the cartoon in the 90s, yeah,
He was
if,
great. He was awesome.
yeah,
Why didn't they
yeah,
do it? But I don't understand. Why didn't you had freaking Guy freaking Pierce in the movie? Just let him play
They
it.
made
Why?
Guy Pearce into a Mandarin.
yeah,
I'm the Mandarin.
yeah. Guy Pierce is what helped Shane Black destroy the Iron Man IP, and if not, that's seen, and as well as justifying declaring Guy Pierce's extremist power, killing as the MCU's Mandarin, literally destroyed a lot of people's trust in the franchise, including ours. And
The
especially,
Invincible Iron Man animated movie was better, in my opinion.
yeah, but
2007.
Shang Chi, uh, yeah, yeah. And anyway, here's what the Mandarin looks like in the cartoon, in the '90s cartoon. He, he goes by Arnold Brock. Not sure if he was part Asian and part English, but to me, he was English. He was voiced by the late Ed Gilbert, who you guys would know voiced Blitzwing in the original Transformers show, just before he
Mhm.
was replaced by Robert Ito in the second season of the Iron Man '90s cartoon.
Yeah.
And also, this is the first season featuring the Mandarin, and later on, as we come to the second season, you see here, his ears
They
aren't that point.
improved the animation style
Yeah,
somehow.
yep,
You think
yep,
they went away with him? Went away from him because it kind of looks like Skeletor before the.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. First season, he looked a lot cool. Yeah, first season, he looked pretty coolish with those ears and those fingers. So I am guessing that. Hang on, guys. I'm kind of. So I'm guessing that because of how inappropriate they felt it looked, they had to make those changes they felt they had to make on the character in the second season. Yeah.
Was Fin Fang Foom a villain of Iron Man? Oh yeah,
Yes,
he
he was.
was.
Yeah. But before we
Yeah,
come to
they,
Tipping Foom, let me just take. Yeah, let me
He's
just.
great in the cartoon. In Avengers Assemble, he doesn't get enough credit, man. Avengers Assemble is a great cartoon. Great cartoon. It's a little
Yeah,
bit
but
too slapstick sometimes, but it's a great cartoon.
oh yeah, and speaking. Oh
Earth's
yeah, he was
Mightiest
also in the.
Hero is more serious than
You think
Avengers
so?
Assemble.
I haven't checked
Yeah,
Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I'm gonna
it's
check
a
it out.
it's a better cartoon show, although it's only
Yeah,
two
but I found.
seasons.
Yeah, but I think I found the best adaptation of the character in the cartoons, if not the anime to be exact. Yeah,
There's no way. There's no way. I'm yuck.
here I just watched
Mandarin.
Marvel Discourse to get a good look at how people in Japan had their version of the Mandarin portrayed. Look familiar?
it
What you
looks
see on
similar to Armored Adventures.
yeah, yep,
Yeah,
the armor.
I mean, it if they did adapt Mandarin and Iron Man 3, if he was the villain, they could have had an interesting thing where it's like Iron Man has the technology, like the more and like the advanced robotic suit, and then Mandarin has like this old armor, but he has the power of the 10 rings. And that would have been cool. Like both of them wearing armor, but one is old school and one is new school.
Yep. And the armor you see on the right with the Mandarin is actually said to be taken inspiration out of Sauron, from what I've read. You know,
Interesting.
yeah, and La Vistra was with us on Hold My DualShock review stream last week and brought up the Mandarin while we were discussing episode 5 of 10 of the Rings of Power. Yeah,
Fellas, I gotta check out here for a moment. I gotta take a call. If I can hop back on, I will, man. If not, man, we'll do this next time.
sure.
All right. Bye.
All right.
Bye. Okay. Now, right where we left off. Here we have the Mandarin from the anime series, which I took a huge liking into, where he was approached by one of the recurring villains from the anime to fight the Avengers. And look, if you can see how different his armor looks compared to that from Armored Adventures, you don't get much of the samurai vibe as you do in Armored Adventures, but something kind of wedged in. But now, here we come to the rings and how he demonstrates the power of each of them, which is what I like to take a. And here, this one right here that he slams onto the floor, he creates a gust of wind. Yeah, that's one of the powers of the rings he wears on his fingers. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, I can't remember all the powers. I know one of them controls light, one controls darkness.
You mean the Heart of Darkness?
Well, I can't remember all of them. One controls lightning, one controls they all control different
They
Elements.
have elements, yeah, different elements,
yeah.
lightning, fire, water,
Wind. Yeah, fire, wind, lightning, ice,
ice.
reanimation, disintegration, impact, mind control, light and darkness. Yeah, that's why I like this character a lot, guys. And in fact, it makes him one of the best master villains in the comics too. And here's the next one, the flamethrower. Yeah, he used it in the anime to create a flaming vortex. And just before he engages Nova with the impact beam, which breaks away that vortex. Yeah, how cool is that? It's like shooting a cannon out of the palm of your hands.
Yeah, it's kind of sad we didn't really get that level of. I mean, the only thing he really did with the rings in Shang-Chi was just they kind of acted like projectiles.
Yeah, this ring toss projectiles.
Yeah, and then there was that weird thing where like the rings decided to go to Shang-Chi instead of him, and it got weird towards that end of the movie. Like it just was like we gotta have a dragon battle. It's China.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
It's like, well, didn't you advertise this as a kung fu movie, and you basically don't really have a lot of kung fu?
Yeah, and I guess that's part of the reason to why they decided not to do the rings exactly as as shown here in
It's
the
a
anime.
kung fu movie, and
Yeah,
I found that Mortal Kombat, the
yeah,
movie, was better.
yeah.
No. I said earlier that Shang-Chi was the most boring kung fu movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, but here's more. And here in the anime, they do fight. He does fight Iron Man, and also he fights 4 other Avengers in the
The
anime.
Avengers.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this lineup is very inspired from that of the Autobots from Transformers animated and Transformers Prime and stuff. You know, Wasp being the bumblebee of the team, Thor being the prowl of the team, Hulk being the bulkhead of the team, Iron Man kind of like being the ratchet of the team, and Captain America being like, the Optimus Prime of the Avengers in this rooster right here. You know.
Well, the original lineup of the Avengers in the comics was Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, and Wasp and Ant Man or Giant Man, depending on.
Iron Man, John, uh, Iron Man, Ant Man, depending
Yeah,
on Henry Pym's mood.
yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, and Ant Man was supposed to come out sooner than we thought, but
yeah.
apparently they took God, I can't even think of his name.
Oh yeah,
His version, and then they had to change it into
Michael
uh,
Douglas.
no.
Yellow
So
Oh,
Jacket,
Scott Lang. Scott Lang. You mean?
Scott Lang.
no. The original Ant Man movie was supposed to be directed by someone else, but then
Edgar
they
Ah,
Wright.
said
yeah.
Edgar Wright. But then they told him he couldn't do it because they said it was too different from what had already been set up in the MCU.
Yeah,
So
that
they
was
got
such
rid
a
of him, and yeah, it would have been nice to know what it would have been like. But I was okay with the Ant Man. I mean, that Wasp or not Wasp, the Yellow Jacket suit was kick ass.
yeah. Anyway, continuing on. Right here we have the Mandarin using the power of ice from one of his rings, which traps three Avengers in ice before directing them towards the Iron Man and Captain America. And at the same time, you see Iron Man here in the picture dodging the impact blast from Mandarin's rings. And wow, man, I gotta give this people who developed this show a lot of credit for properly executing, for having the character properly execute the power of each of his rings in this show. I mean, I could barely remember seeing it in other shows other than Armored Avengers and the original Avengers cartoon from the 60s that was directly based on the comics. I mean, look at, and he's able to dodge the attacks in midair too. It's quite cool. Very
Mm.
cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. And that's what got me invested into this show. I only saw it all completely in Japanese dub. I can't seem to find most of the English dubbed versions of the thing online.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, you got to give them credit too.
Discourse, yeah. I think I have a English version of this online.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
Could you imagine? I can imagine why that they didn't want it. Well, I can understand them being scared of like mixing like the magical elements with the more grounded like tech of armor type thing,
yeah,
but it could have still worked with Iron Man 3. But they
yeah. It
just
should have.
didn't.
Yeah, they should have gone with that direction. I mean, we just saw Green Lantern 2 years before Iron Man 3, and they were able to pull off firing lasers out of power rings from that movie.
Well, they didn't make constructs like in Green Lantern, but it's still. I kind of wonder the reason why they changed the rings to bracelets was were they thinking people were going to find it too similar to the
Green
Infinity?
Lantern,
No, in terms of Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah,
maybe.
I was told that plenty of times after I saw the third movie. Yeah, it's part of the reasons. Yes.
I mean, that's kind of a. I mean, you could still find a way to differentiate them, but all right.
Yeah. Yeah. We should have. Yeah, they should have looked into that.
So is Fin Fang Foom the next villain that we
Sure.
have? Up?
Sure. Let me get that up. Yeah.
That's a. The last thing I've seen Fin Fang Foom in was he was in the Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Yeah. And Guardians of the Galaxy is what Fin Fang Foom originally served as a villain as just before switching over to Iron Man. Now, let me get this up, guys. Let me get this up.
He was also one of the first bosses in Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah. Fin Fang Foom. First first appearance, Strange Tales, 1880, number 89, October 1961. Created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. His species is a Makulon, Axon Car. Yeah. Team affiliation, Dragon Lords of Kakaran Thara, Fin Fang 4. Notable aliases, He Who Limbs Shatter Mountains and Who, wow, a lot of words, Scrapes the Sun. Wow. Yeah.
Walt Simonson used him as the Midgard serpent in the pages of Thor back then in the
Uh-huh.
80s.
Yep. Yeah. Let me get the rest up. Okay. All right. And here we have him, Fin Fang Foom. Yeah. He was first introduced into the comics in 1961. And 30 years later, 30 years later, we learn that he and his kind were the creators of the Makulon rings, where he where he where he starts off as the villain who starts taking the fight to
Iron,
Iron. Yep.
Iron Man.
Yeah.
Now, I remember at the very end of the Shang-Chi, they were hinting at something with the rings. But I don't know
Yeah.
if they're going to make it related to Fin Fang Fu. I heard some people say that potentially it's just going to relate to King the Conqueror, but now that they changed so much up that, we don't really know.
Yeah. Fin Fang Foom and his species of alien dragons were the creators of these rings, as shown in the comics. As yeah, as you see here in this picture, right here, guys, of where the rings were stored inside their alien ship, which is where the Mandarin, which was hidden inside a mountain within the Valley of Spirits. You know, right where the Mandarin stumbled upon, and he found these rings inside this machine that was inside their ship, and then took off with them, and barely having made it out of there in one piece afterwards. And of course there were actually one, two, three, 5, 6, 10 Macolonian dragons inside the ship. As you see in this picture, these 7 figures we're looking at in the green robes. These were Fin Fang Foom and his kind in disguise. And
Uh,
this one you see here in the center, this was said to this character here was mentioned to be the teacher to the Mandarin, as shown in the Dragon Seed storyline of the Iron Man comics. Yeah, I got a out of yeah I ordered that. I got a kick out of reading that whole storyline since I first bought it.
mm.
Yeah,
Well, I doubt we're going to ever get an adaptation of Fing Fang Foom at this point.
same here.
No,
Yeah, after
I
what
mean,
they
doubtful.
yeah. There's one more. I was just looking through the rap sheet. There's one more enemy of Iron Man that is a big one that I keep on forgetting about. AIM, Advanced
oh
Idea Mechanics.
Yeah, AIM
yeah
was a crime, scientific crime organization.
yeah
During their inception.
yeah the Advanced Idea Mechanics were an organization of scientific terrorists who worked for Modoc. Yeah, and they were introduced as extremist enhanced super soldiers to Aldrich Killian in Iron Man 3.
Yeah, because they basically smashed together the extremist
Yeah,
storyline, and then they added AIM in, and then we didn't get the cool costumes, the iconic costumes AIM wears.
yeah.
Yeah,
The yellow
The
uniform,
yellow hazmat suits, yeah.
hazmat. Yes.
yeah,
And then of course, and then a couple years later they went and screwed up Modoc.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man, don't remind me.
yeah, yeah,
They
Modoc.
screwed up Modoc.
Yeah, they did. I
Oh
mean,
God.
yeah, I know. I mean, look at that face. I mean, I was on Tyro Magnus's channel last year, and he said that it looked like they took his face and stretched it out. I mean, wow.
It probably looks worse in motion.
Yeah.
Like, why did they take Yellow Jacket and make him MODOK?
Huh.
Like,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
sort
The
of
like
better.
even the Avengers video game that had MODOK in it was better. Like his
Yeah.
design, at least. Like that right there on the bottom left.
You mean right here?
Yeah, that's from the Avengers game. That design looked better.
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
pretty sure it
that
did.
design is
Yeah.
better.
George Tarleton. That was the name of MODOK. And speaking of MODOK, yeah, it also brings my attention to another Iron Man show I saw him in, where he was a recurring villain of that show. Yeah, let me bring this up, and there he is.
See, he's a very tough villain to do because he can easily look goofy on screen.
Yep, he was the secondary villain of the Iron Man '90s cartoon, and a second right hand to the
He
Mandarin.
was he was a henchman.
Yep, and he wasn't that big as we saw in the movie, or in the or in this, you know, in this cartoon he was shorter than Mandarin because he
Yeah.
was a victim of the Red Ghost who had an envy for, well, you know, yeah. Jim Cummings did the voice of MODOK in this cartoon, while Ed Gilbert and Robert Ito did the Mandarin in two separate seasons.
So, did you guys ever hear the rumor potentially that they, or was it a fan casting that people wanted Peter Dinklage as MODOK?
Yeah, yeah, they did.
That's a lazy casting.
Yeah, I mean, this is
I
what
mean,
you.
it's better than what we got, but
Yeah, yeah, and this is what he would have looked like too if they did him in the live action movies as well. He wouldn't have had Iron Man looking down at him as if he was Dinklage, of course. Yeah, Modoc
Peter
is
Dingle was already cast in
he was cast in X Men: Days of Future Past.
yes,
and he
and
was
plus in
Oh yeah,
the Avengers
and then he was in
was it?
yeah, he was the dwarf in
Yeah, the
an
dwarf.
oversized dwarf.
yeah,
Yeah,
irony.
Yep. Yeah.
irony.
I know what you did there, Marvel. I understood that. That's
God. Yeah. Yeah. I hear you're right
he's
there.
supposed to be a dwarf, but he's big. I get it.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's that meme. I know what that is.
Uh huh. And
Oh wait, they made it. Didn't they make a TV show based off Modoc?
oh yeah, yeah. Now I
Oh
remember.
God, because I thought I saw a picture of it. That's the one with Patton Oswalt, and oh my God, there's so many stupid decisions Marvel's been making as of late.
Yeah, I hear you. Totally bad decisions.
We were so blind with what they're
And then
doing.
what does Modoc stands for
Mechanism. Uh,
mechanism or only designed for killing or something like that.
yeah. Let me look it up. Hang on. Yeah. Let me check this out. Here it is. Mental organism designed only for computing. Well,
Computing.
wait,
Wink,
hold on.
wink.
Wait,
That's
mental
sort of
organism designed only for killing. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, organism. George Tarleton. Yeah,
George
that's
Tarleton was the scientist supreme for AIM back in the day. Then they sort of
Yeah.
experimented some stuff with him.
Could you imagine if we got an Iron Man 3 movie and it was like, you had the Mandarin who's like the terrorist going around and causing like this like super elusive dude, and then
Oh,
you
I
got
hear you.
and then
Yeah.
you get like AIM in the story as well, and then you got Modoc in the story. Like there was so much potential there, but they just wasted it. Instead, they just wanted it to be kind of like, you know, Iron Man with his PTSD, and then him hanging out with some kid for a portion of the movie, and then just them having this Christmas theme to it as well. I'm like, uh,
Yeah, but there's also another character. There's also another character. Hang on. There was also another character. Hang on. Let me fix something here. Right. Let me fix something. Hang on. Hang on. It's hold on. I let me get. There's also another Iron Man villain that the studios wasted in Iron Man 3 as a plot instead
um,
of doing him exactly as shown in the source material.
which one was that?
Firepower. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they just used his name, and they were like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They wasted him.
Firepower.
Yeah, they wasted him as a plot device in that movie as well. I mean, they could have done them all properly, exactly as shown from the comic, but instead they just wasted him.
They just made them all extremist soldiers.
Ah,
Like
Yeah.
yeah, I remember.
they made what was it? Wasn't there one character called Cold Blood or something in that movie as well? Like they used a couple like obscure characters from the comics, and they just
Oh, Cold
made
Blood.
them.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was from X Force. I recall.
and then they had two other ones I think they used, and then they used Maya Hansen from Extremis, and then they used Aldrich Killian from Extremis as well, and
Yeah,
then they just used Mandarin as a plot device, and well, yeah, I don't know, that movie was just a mess.
yeah, a complete waste of time, and I can't believe I got too super hyped. I can't believe I let the hype from the first Avengers movie drive me into getting the first trailer to the third Iron Man movie. Now,
Well, Iron Man 3 was kind of like also that turning point where Marvel just was like, let's gear up the goofy humor. Like
yeah,
They
definitely
geared
the
it up
first.
for kids.
they just were like, oh, the Avengers had a lot of humor in it. Let's just increase the amount of humor. And
Oh
now it's
yeah,
like every single one, almost every single one of these movies is kind of like, they just don't take themselves that seriously, and I'm just like them.
Man, we
It
should
just kind of
blame
ruins things.
Iron Man
yeah,
3.
yeah. Iron Man 3 was the start.
Everyone everyone
Yeah,
blames Guardians of the Galaxy for those
No, Iron Man
rumors.
3. It started with Iron Man. Guardians of the Galaxy kind of like, I think, cemented it. Like, oh yeah, we got to
Yeah,
continue with the goofy humor and whatever.
the
But
yeah, but Iron
goofy.
Man 3 is definitely what started it all with with the ruination of the MCU. I mean, Iron Man had a lot of interest, had a rogues gallery of super awesome villains that could have been utilized properly if the studios had more patience, more allowed the people working on the films to have more creative independence. But no, they were too arrogant and too lazy and impatient to give a damn. I mean, so all that potential that we had, it's gone, all gone because
yeah,
of that. I mean,
Yeah, and Iron Man 3 has had the Iron Patriot, which
yeah,
is not.
that was so weird.
yeah, that
I
was
saw
Norman
it.
Osborn. That was supposed to be Norman Osborn armor.
Yeah, that's supposed to be
It
Norman
made no
Osborn.
sense. It's just like, oh, we the United States has to have a Iron Patriot. I'm like, why?
Yeah, why? Why
Wasn't
give
it wasn't it stated in Iron Man 2 that the relations between the West and the East had, like at the very beginning when you're getting the montage that they said like in one of the newsreels that Iron Man has stabilized relations between the West and the East because
Yeah,
he
he was
exists.
the deterrent.
Yeah, so why do
Uh,
they need Iron Patriot?
yeah, All yeah, much like the Mandarin and firepower, the Iron Patriot armor was also a plot device as well as, if not a Trojan horse, just to use for their film's plot. Of
Yeah, I like what was. I don't even understand what Aldrich Killian was trying to do in that movie. I'm going to kidnap the president. I'm like, why?
yeah,
Just
how,
because Starks turned you down to talk about your shit instead to go bed a woman? Like, why? Just
yeah,
weird.
Why?
yeah, yeah. It was such a waste. I mean, look at these villains. You've got Viceroy, Firebrand, Blizzard, Titanium Man, Camistro, Firepower, Mauler, Living Laser,
Oh, yeah.
Mauler,
Crimson Dynamo,
Hello, everyone.
and
the
Melter,
Melter,
and the
the
Mandarin right
Melter.
here. I mean,
I mean, to be fair, Mahler's appearance might as well be like, a freaking Iron Man villain.
yeah,
Just a Welsh guy, just like, hello, everyone. Join me today for 4 hours of talking Star Wars.
yeah,
Yeah, no, Disney's gonna make him into a villain.
yeah. I mean,
Just Iron Man comes in and it's just like, what you're doing is really bad. And why is that? Because you're being really mean to Disney.
yeah, yeah.
You can't make fun of a corporation like that.
I couldn't agree more either. Too. I mean, these other villains could have been done. Yeah, they could have had Fireman 4, 5, and 6 in place, and rather than just
I
mashing
think
everything.
the reason for just having trilogy was there's still a curse of the trilogy in comic book movies back then.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we got Thor 4, but that movie went nowhere.
That
no, it
movie
was another
sucks.
Batman and Robin resulted film. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and of course, the Iron Man and War Machine weren't the only armored superheroes. We got another one called Rescue. You know, Pepper Potts. Yeah, let's go to her next since I showed.
Yeah, that was kind of weird that they gave her an armor. I mean, I get it in the comics, but in the movies, it just kind of fell out of nowhere.
Yeah, but not just in the movies and the comics. There was also a show that had Pepper get her own suit of armor. Let me bring that up. Let me get that up.
Pepper. Pepper Potts.
Yep. Yeah, the main love interest of Tony Stark. And here it is. There's her rescue armor from the Armored Adventures cartoon. Yeah.
Yeah. So, is anyone else going to also comment about Iron Man 3? How it was really weird how he just suddenly removes the shrapnel from his body.
Oh
Just,
yeah.
just was like, I decided to, do this for myself. I'm like, why did you do that sooner?
Yeah. It was all
Maybe he
just,
was dumb back then.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just just to cozy up the China, no doubt. Anyway, sometime later on in the comics, Pepper does get her own suit of armor. Yeah.
So
Rest.
it's kind of redundant that they made Pepper an armored suit while giving Ironheart her armor suit.
Yeah. Yeah. And they had Pepper get her suit of armor in the movies within Avengers Endgame. You know, where she comes out of the blue to help them fight. Oh, and yeah, of course. Let me get that up. Let me get that up, guys.
Endgame.
Yes, Avengers Endgame. Yeah, that's where I saw.
So, a fun fact I learned about Endgame. Apparently, during that final battle sequence, they were going to have the Dark Elves and the Frost Giants show up.
That
Why?
would
I
have
don't
been
know why.
cool. That would have
Yeah,
been cool.
yeah,
Yeah, but how did Thanos know about the Dark Elves, and why would they side with him? It just
I
doesn't
have
make any
no idea.
sense.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, they scrapped it, because the only things that you get in the movie were the Chitauri, the Sakaar, and um,
The Black Order,
the Black
Black.
Order. Because
including
okay, you got
Olivia.
Chitauri from the Avengers movie, but then you had the oh yeah, and then you also got the whatever those things were from the third the Endgame, the dog,
Rabbit, yeah,
the dog like things, and then you also had the mercenary group that worked with uh
Thanos.
Ronan in
Oh yeah,
yeah, those things. I think they were called Sakaar.
yeah, Sicarians.
Sicarians, the ones with
Yeah,
So yeah, it was. It just felt very odd for her to just show up and know how to use the armor in that movie.
yeah. Not even bother to do an Iron Man 4 to have her don the suit of armor before the end game.
There was just a lot of weird, like them killing off Black Widow was an odd choice.
yeah. No, they're finding it hard to do a reboot for Black Widow.
Well, I mean, Scarlett Johansson's done because after how they handled the release of Black Widow,
Yeah,
um,
she didn't get paid much.
she didn't get paid much due to the earnings. So she called out Marvel Disney about it, and then they said, "Okay, we're not going to work with you anymore."
It's they blame COVID for that.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone was that.
Sure.
Yeah, not
Sure.
everyone was familiar with the streaming service yet. They were still adapting to it.
Yeah, I mean that entire situation just advanced the idea of because Disney Plus only came out like a couple, like at least 6 months before um, COVID happened.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and then we got Happy Hogan.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. Happy Hogan, and I'm looking to get to the part where we. Yeah. Right. Yeah. He was Tony Stark's one of Stark's closest associates and bodyguard. Still, I do like Happy's role in the movie Far From Home because of his heart-to-heart talk with Peter on the plane. You know, where we all missed having Iron Man alive and around. You know, right before we got Shang-Chi, which finally introduces the actual Mandarin, despite the fact that they chose to deviate from the source material with the rings and stuff, just for the sake of adapting with that of the character and other factors that came about.
I liked how they used Mysterio in Far From Home. Or no, I can't remember the name of the title.
Yeah.
Far From
Um,
Home is No
Yep.
Way Home. What?
Yeah.
oh
No
no,
way.
there's Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I mean now like I don't know what they're gonna do with the Spider-Man franchise, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they're gonna do a Venom War.
We'll
I
see.
don't know. Are they? I mean, they keep saying that this Venom movie is going to be the last one, but I don't know. They pulled that type of crap before, so
Yeah. I mean, fan baiting. Yeah. Fan baiting, no
Fan
doubt.
baiting. Yep.
well they did it with remember in Venom Let There
And
Be
yeah.
Carnage.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were
That.
yeah they were
Yeah.
gonna they zoomed him into the MCU world, and then they didn't do anything with him.
Nope.
They
He just
left
showed.
a portion of the Venom suit in the
Yeah, and then
MCU.
when are they gonna get to that? Oh, maybe the next one. Who knows?
Who
Yeah, and
knows?
look where we got, and look what we got out of one of those trailers that dropped last summer in June. You know, the first of the third Venom trailer, where they suddenly retconned it by having one of the military guys seize the symbiote drop in that bar.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's yeah, totally weird.
Whoa! They show. Wait, that trailer they had one of the military guys, but isn't he in a different reality?
You mean Carl Mordo?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. In
He
any,
he captures the thing in the bar, but that's part of the MCU timeline.
yeah,
Or so my brain
yeah,
hurts.
yeah, yeah. It's I can't. Yeah, it's quite unbelievable that Sony is resorting to all these kinds of changes. I mean, throwing all that potential away kind of
Well,
makes
I
me.
mean, I think they're kind of seeing the writing on the wall. Marvel hasn't been doing so well. And then
No,
I
but
thought
Yeah,
that they could do their own like Spider-Man in universe type thing, but that has
the problem
pissed it.
with that was they're doing a Spider Verse without Spider Man.
Yeah.
that and because they can't seem to hire writers who know how to hype things up and make things exciting as their predecessors have. Before the
Well, I mean,
shift.
like, why have Craven the Hunter the movie when he's not a hunter?
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
now Craven the animal lover. Is what is
yeah. I
PETA?
hear you.
Is PETA gonna crawl down your throat because he kills animals? Like, well, newsflash, PETA, you really don't do anything for animals to begin with. So
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So much has
Yeah.
come and gone since
they had Morbius. They had Madam Web that came out earlier this year. Ooh.
I haven't
And
watched Madam Web yet, so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have not, but I heard it's a non superhero movie.
yeah. It was kind of a bump. Yeah, I heard it wasn't that good, and some of the editing was off.
I
I've
heard
been
someone said it was Final Destination meets Nancy Drew confused with Terminator.
Yeah,
Someone
oh,
said, and everyone just was like, "Yeah, that basically explains it."
that explains it.
uh huh.
My God.
Yeah. Anyway, not sure what we're gonna expect next out of Favreau now that after Deadpool and Wolverine and stuff. I'm not. I could
I don't
imagine.
know.
I
I
don't
really
know.
do wish there was a time machine to go back and change a lot of these things so Marvel didn't screw up. But
Yeah, before
honestly,
Disney.
it's gonna be a really difficult for
The
them to fix.
reluctance of Marvel to do retcons is their own fault.
I
Yeah,
mean, it's just a mess right now. Like we got Agatha coming out this week, and I imagine that as soon as that show's done, they're not going to ever acknowledge it again. And then they
yeah. That's
got
tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow that it comes out.
oh god,
Oh
Yeah,
and
man,
then
yeah,
they got Captain America
Brave New
four,
World.
Brave New World, and that movie is unlikely going to make its budget back because they had to reshoot it. And now
yeah.
they got
It's
Fantastic
over
Four,
budget.
and then they had Fantastic Four, which nobody is really a fan of Pedro Pascal being like,
Reed Richards.
Yeah,
and that's what I
DEI
hate.
PSG written all
We,
over there.
and that's the thing I hated about the Doctor Strange 2 was you gave us the casting we wanted with John Krasinski as
Reed Richards.
Richards, and then you kill him.
Yeah, killed off someone that the fans wanted to see as Reed Richards, and then you go replacing us with someone we did not only not expect, but not really actually wanted. I mean, if you
Pedro
really wanted,
Pascal's casted in everything
yeah,
now.
and if you wanted him as Reed
He's
Richards,
overexposed.
Yeah.
yeah, and you should have shaved his mustache off if you wanted him as Mister Fantastic, but no, you decide to just go ahead and nag us even more. That's how I see it.
No, and I just am not excited about it. Okay, there hasn't been a trailer yet, sure, but the thing is that you just kind of blew the excitement about it because I'm like, well, what have you done really for me as of recently, Marvel? Sure, Deadpool 3 was, good, but that's not real. That movie was more about the Fox movies than Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Mm-hmm.
Deadpool 3 was I don't know, it lost its luster for me during
Yeah,
my
yeah. At least
second
that. Yeah,
viewing.
Deadpool and Wolverine's the last Marvel movie that many of us are really going to take a huge liking into for a long time now. Anyway, but speaking of Favreau, yeah, he when I last I checked, he also appeared in the 2003 Daredevil movie, which starred Ben Affleck and
Oh
co-starred.
yeah, he was Foggy Nelson.
Foggy
And then
Nelson.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, Daredevil was pretty much the first movie I remember with Ben Affleck that had a director's cut as well. Well, as far as
Yeah,
I can remember.
it's
yeah,
the director's cut was better than the theatrical cut
yeah,
Hmm.
for me.
Yep. Yeah. 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 It was nice to see Favreau interact with another Daredevil for once in No Way Home. In fact, No Way Home should have been where it ended, in my opinion, after releasing Far From Home. I mean, they could have. It's really after that was all much of multiversal mashups and mix-ups and stuff.
They
yeah.
played on the nostalgia bait for everyone.
Yeah, lots of nostalgia bait.
Although I enjoyed No Way Home
Yeah, No Way
back
Home was the
then.
yeah, No Way Home was the best out of Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies because it was more progressive and more improved than the other previous two. I mean, it started off hokey and funny, but later on, when Doc Ock shows up, it finally gets more serious and more like you would remember from the old days.
Yeah, I mean, I did find it a little bit weird how it makes a lot of questions about, well, what are the implications of them returning the characters to their timelines? Like, does
Yeah.
that mean that none of those events happen in the Amazing Spider-Man or the original Spider-Man movies?
Huh.
Like, there's a lot of questions in that movie if you think about it more broadly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the drawback of
Well,
time
that's a
travel,
time travel, multiverse stuff, and
multiverse.
like I really did wish that they just stayed away from the multiverse stuff and the Marvel stuff because just some stuff in the comics just doesn't work in the movies. And when they talked about the whole multiverse thing, I was one of the only people that said, I think this is going to make everything ultra confusing and, just
Hmm.
screw things up. But
They
everyone
Yeah.
did
did.
screw it up.
Yeah, they screwed it up. And now they're trying to fix it, but I don't know how long that's going to take. They're probably going to have to reboot the entire Marvel universe.
Hard reboot to be
Yeah,
specific,
hard reboot.
and if it helps, I would really start off with just a standalone Iron Man live action movie universe and not have anything shared or interconnected because there's a lot that needs to be properly fleshed out and brought out into live action from the comics.
I just don't know how you would reboot the universe because then because then the audience is going to be confused about what's going on. Like, why is there a different actor playing Iron Man or whatever? But
Yeah,
right now I don't think Disney and Marvel are thinking about rebooting the Marvel universe.
sadly
Nope.
No,
no.
so much we know. But
Hmm.
anyway, I'm looking at the time and I noticed that Hypnotic starts in 12 minutes. So
Thank you. Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Thanks for coming, guys, and be sure to subscribe to Uncle T's channel too. If you,
Okay.
all
yeah,
right, well,
thank you, guys. He needs help too. Oh, and also Qatar, and I
Yeah.
ought to thank you for coming tonight because I was looking for someone else others to join me, but sadly they couldn't make the jump. But I like to thank you again. So I'm gonna hang on. Let me just look this up. Hang on. Hang on. Yeah. Hang on. Let me just. I'm just. Hang on, guys.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to get your link up so I can make sure that people subscribe to you as well. Yeah. Yeah. Let me just look. Hang on. Wow. Hang on. Wow. hang on. Let me hold on. Let me just. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to. Hang on. Let me look. Look. Hang on. Wow. Hold
Yeah,
on.
this I enjoyed discussing this stuff with you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, you guys got GI Joe next week, so I don't know much at all about GI Joe, so probably won't be able to hop in and say much. So
Hang on. Hold on. Let me just.
I just remember the action figures of GI Joe from my nephew back then.
I saw GI Joe Rise of Cobra, and I was like, I don't know what's going
Oh,
on.
hang on. I think I found it. Hang on. Let me get this up. Yeah, I think I found it.
GI Joe is another confusing
Yeah.
franchise.
Yep. It
Well,
sure
I
is.
mean, they still got opportunity to do something with it. I mean, I didn't hate GI Joe Rise of Cobra, but it was kind of
Yeah, it was way too weird with how they
Weird.
handle the characters. Here it is. Here's your channel.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
You're welcome, Katar. Thank you guys for coming tonight. I
all
appreciate
right.
it.
All right. Well, thanks for hosting.
Take care, guys.
All right. You too.
Mm.
Bye.
All
Yeah,
right.
and
You too,
I'll be,
man.
yeah, and let's be sure to share and let's be sure to share this video with others too. They're gonna want to get a look at this too. Take care.
Okay. Take care, man.
Bye.